People living in unincorporated eastern Jefferson County weren't happy in 1969. Denver wanted to annex the area, and residents weren't eager to become Denverites. The garage rapist was terrorizing women with a crime spree, and many residents felt the county sheriff's office was unable to protect them. So during the summer of 1969, approximately 90,000 residents voted to incorporate as the city of Lakewood. They emerged from the election as citizens of the third largest city in Colorado and voted for James Ritchie as mayor. One of Ritchie's first duties was to create a police department. Ritchie was a visionary who saw Lakewood as a progressive city with a need for a modern police force that was less military in appearance and more integrated into the community. In early 1970, just 30 agents and a department director formed the Lakewood Public Safety Department, a police force that set out to be a progressive agency focused on community service.
News clippings and news footage featured police brutality. News stories featured police corruption, and in the late 1960s and early 1970s, there were several different commissions that were tasked with looking at reforming policing.
As guidance, they turned to the report by the President's Commission, which provided a new model for law enforcement.
We were called agents, not police officers. We had our own uniforms, blue blazers, gray slacks, tie, light blue shirt with an emblem on the pocket, but no visible badge. In fact, our badges were wallet badges. We didn't have a badge anywhere in a uniform, and our weapons were concealed underneath our coat. My understanding was that this was the only department in the United States that adopted completely the model that was laid out.
Since the early 1970s, a distinguished group of police chiefs have served Lakewood, each one of them contributing a legacy of innovation and excellence. Ronald G. Lynch was selected to form the first police department in 1970. With a background in police work and law, Director Lynch molded a modern vision of policing and called it the Lakewood Department of Public Safety. The department had agents, rather than officers, who wore business attire instead of the traditional police uniform. He was far ahead of his time in requiring that police agents have a 4-year college degree and in proposing that all patrol cars be equipped with computer technology. Pierce R. Brooks has the distinction of being Lakewood's second director and the first to hire women police agents, a rare occurrence in the early 70s.
Yeah, I was one of the first 2 women. We were sworn in together in January of '72, Sharon Hall and myself.
Brooks had been a Navy Reserve commander, blimp and balloon pilot, veteran of World War II and the Korean War, best in his class at the FBI National Academy, a retired Los Angeles Police Department captain, and the police chief of Springfield, Oregon. He was also well known as the technical advisor for the Dragnet and Adam 12 network television series. His contributions to the department included eliminating the 10 code in favor of clear speech for radio traffic.
Okay, on scene.
Forming the neighborhood agent interaction team, forming the Youth Services Division, and dropping the blue blazer as part of the daily uniform, though it was kept as part of the dress uniform. Brooks also proposed placing agents in schools and changing the rank structure to a more traditional one.
I would say that he was a guy that had tremendous integrity, and he expected the same from his people. I think integrity is a word that was kind of a hallmark of his leadership style. And yes, he could be feared, but I think at the same time, if you talk to people that were held accountable by him for something, that he was always fair and upfront with them.
We all had to use black pens. No one could use a blue pen. I worked for the legal advisor at that time, and so I didn't feel like we were the department, but we kind of had a caveat, I guess. And so I used blue ink, and the executive secretary at that time that worked for Brooks brought over black ink pens and said, "You will not use those, give them to me," and took them. So you will use black ink, period, if you're in this department.
He used green ink, and people were so terrified of him that no one else in the agency used green ink for anything. So if he had a comment about a document that you had written, whether it was a memo or a report, I really think that his direct staff was more terrified of that than anyone else because they saw it more often. And I have no idea what the genesis of his using green ink was, but he'd been gone for years, and there were still people that wouldn't use green ink because of the respect that they had for him. The legacy that I think he left is still present to a tremendous degree.
The third director was John Vermillion. He was the first director to come up through the ranks of the Lakewood Police Department.
We all came from Brooks, who was very rule oriented and strict. So when John Vermillion came in, he was approachable, he was down to earth, he laughed easily, and he was a man of integrity, and that was foremost in his administration, I think.
He helmed the police department during a difficult time of budget shortfalls, reduced police services, special operations stings, allegations of police brutality, and citizens attempting to secede from the city of Lakewood.
His tenure maybe wasn't as long as some of the other chiefs, and I think it's important to not forget him. He played an important role, and he established our standards, many of our internal affairs standards, and we still follow those to this day.
It only took 11 years for Charles Johnston, a national hero, to rise through the ranks of the police department to become chief at age 38. As a former Vietnam veteran, his honors included 4 Bronze Stars for heroism, the Purple Heart, and the Air Medal for 50 helicopter missions. During his 30-year career with Lakewood, he spent more than 20 years as chief. While Johnston headed the agency, he made many important changes, including changing the agency's name to the Lakewood Police Department, changing his title to chief, changing the agent's uniform color from light blue to dark blue, and ensuring that police agent pay and benefits would always remain at least 1% higher than any other police department in Colorado. Johnston also established a Speakers Bureau, the Citizen Police Academy, and brought the Neighborhood Watch program to Lakewood. Captain Gary Barber was installed as interim chief after Johnston retired. During the short time he held the position of chief, he strengthened relationships within the department and got to know the employees and their concerns well. Barber also was responsible for transitioning to a new radio system in the communications center.
At that time, it was a leap forward in terms of technology because we were moving away from a lot of mechanical processes in which the call takers wrote down the details of the call on a card, and moving towards something where the call taker entered the details on a computer screen. Now we've finally come to the point where the units in the field have their own screens in the cars, and they have had for years, and they can read what the call takers entered in the first place.
Ron Burns was the 6th man to head the Lakewood Police Department. He brought a fresh perspective to policing as the first chief hired from outside the department since Pierce Brooks. Burns further developed the emphasis on community policing by dividing the city into 3 sectors and determining the policing needs of each sector through detailed crime analysis data.
One of the tenets of community policing is to ensure that the officers spend all of their time in the same area, and they get to know the people, they get to know the problems, and that's where they start to build that relationship and to be able to work closer together. And actually the reaction from the officers in the community was tremendous. I mean, the community just said, great, let's roll up our sleeves, we'll help you in any way we can. And again, that came from that great relationship that was already built between the police and the community.
Kevin Paletta was Lakewood's police chief from 2008 through 2016. Paletta helped in the transition to sector-based policing and was responsible for moving to the first vendor-provided computer system upgrade under Chief Burns.
435-340.
Paletta's emphasis on excellence in service, pride and professionalism, and efforts towards regionalization are the hallmarks of his leadership. The regionalization of the training academy, SWAT team, records management system, dispatch center, and crime lab are examples of area-wide collaboration and partnership under Paletta. In 2009, the department helped to form and command the Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force. In 2016, Dan McCaskey became Lakewood's 8th chief. Starting as an agent in June 1986, McCaskey rose through the ranks of sergeant, commander, and division chief. His extensive experience, depth of knowledge, and leadership qualities are well known and respected within the department and around the country. Lakewood's high standards, intensive training, use of state-of-the-art equipment, and crime-solving techniques, coupled with an emphasis on sector policing and every agent's genuine desire to serve others, is what sets the Lakewood Police Department apart from most other agencies. It's also the reason why more than 70 agents have risen through Lakewood's ranks to become law enforcement executives, police chiefs, and sheriffs in agencies across the nation.
And I think the reason for that was that the original police leaders who put this department together had a commitment to professional excellence, and they didn't have much tolerance for anything less than that.
Ready? Yeah, let's go.
Lakewood sets the bar high for new recruits. They must have a college degree, complete an application, pass a background check, pass written and oral exams, and have strong communication and decision-making skills. Once hired, recruits enter a 23-week paramilitary police academy to develop the skills and knowledge they need to become successful agents.
By pressing over here.
After attending the police academy, recruits get 16 weeks of field training with a seasoned agent that takes them from being an observer to being a fully trained agent.
We look for highly motivated, educated individuals who have a commitment and a willingness to serve their community, and that they understand that this job is not just a single dimension job, it's multifaceted, that they represent an organization that believes in commitment to service, community partnerships, that represents integrity, intelligence, and initiative.
The high standards and expectations of agents have earned Lakewood a national reputation for excellence.
Can I have your license, registration, proof of insurance, please?
It was Chief Charles Johnston that led the Lakewood Police Department to become the 24th agency in the nation accredited through the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, or CALEA, in 1986. Over the course of 2 years, the Lakewood Police Department worked hard to meet the hundreds of nationally recognized law enforcement standards necessary to receive CALEA accreditation. Lakewood continues to receive reaccreditation in recognition of its innovative methods of policing and programs, such as the Lakewood Bike Unit, Crime Analysis Unit, Cold Case Unit, Emergency Operations Center, Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force, and sponsorship of the Mental Health Fitness Symposium. Lakewood also strives to use the latest technology, such as the live scan automated fingerprint process, niche records management system, and state-of-the-art crime lab equipment.
My name's Kayla. I'm with Lakewood Police Department.
Lakewood's emphasis on community, or sector policing, contributes to its reputation for excellence and helps build community trust through programs such as the neighborhood watch groups.
What we get from this is that when we go out and give these particular talks and we meet and greet with the community, is they are very, very appreciative of what we're doing and the information that we're providing to them. We are actually getting a response from them that they feel empowered now, because before they felt like they were not having a voice, and they're able to say, well, the police department has got a big stake in this. We have a big stake in this as well. So the feedback that we get from citizens in the city of Lakewood and a lot of the programs that we do is extremely, extremely positive.
Lakewood's community partnerships programs include the Citizen Police Academy, Victim Assistance Unit, Police Explorers, National Night Out, and the Volunteer Program.
Our volunteer program has been around well over 10 years now, and it saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We use these volunteers for a variety of things that free up our officers to deal with more serious crimes and calls for service and serving our community.
Lakewood's leadership in developing innovative programs helps it earn the coveted reaccreditation with CALEA time and time again.
We have regionalized our SWAT team, our training academy, in the process of our communications center. Our records management system, all 6 agencies within the county will come together, and it'll be cutting edge and probably the first time ever that we will actually have our records stored in an off-site virtual type of atmosphere. So we're starting to do things that other agencies will start to follow, which is what Lakewood's been known for.
I, Daniel J. McCaskey.
I wanted to become part of this organization because everything I had heard about Lakewood was that it was innovative, there was a sense of service, and that Lakewood was one of the top tier departments in the United States, and I wanted to be part of Lakewood.
The Lakewood Police Department motto of integrity, intelligence, initiative describes the characteristics of the men and women who are sworn agents.
Integrity, you have to have integrity to be a law enforcement officer. You have to have the trust of your community so that they will work with you to solve crimes and to solve problems in the community. Intelligence, that 4-year degree shows that you have perseverance and tenacity to complete that, and that's a good foundation for a police officer as well. And then initiative, Lakewood's a very motivated department, and we encourage people to take initiative and to do the things that to go above and beyond what's expected. And that's one of the foundations of Lakewood too, and it's that initiative that really takes us to the next level.
It also guides every agent through every day of service to the city of Lakewood and its residents.
To me, it's not always about the code runs, getting to drive fast and shoot guns, even though that does get the adrenaline pumping. My favorite thing about police work is having the opportunity to make a difference in the community. To me, it's being able to buy a snack for somebody or help somebody, give them a ride down the street to the bus or to their house because the weather's poor or it's too far for them to walk. You get to make a difference in the community that not the everyday person would be able to do.
We're our best competition to remain atop of our goals and our standards. And it's a good feeling to, when you walk into some place, other training, other places in the state, even nationally, some people have recognized who we are and what we do.
Right there.
Lakewood's police department has raised the bar in other ways too.
Copy that.
Lakewood began hiring female agents to serve our community in 1972.
There were, of course, jail matrons and parking meter matrons, but in terms of being sworn officers, it wasn't that common of a thing. When I started at Lakewood, I was the 3rd woman that was hired, and our uniforms were different than the male officers, and that was simply because we were kind of a new entity. When I started, I carried my gun and my handcuffs in a purse, which I still have to this day, and it's black leather, as you can tell here, and the flap here on this side was where my 3-inch 5-shot revolver was carried, and this side is where I carried my handcuffs. Getting out of the car, opening the flap so you have access to your gun, and then opening the next flap so you had access to the handle of your gun. So you had to be very organized, and it was really cumbersome. Agent Susan Hines was hired after, I think she was the 4th woman that was hired. She was chosen to remain in patrol. And she said, okay, but I don't want to carry my gun in a purse. I want a gun belt like the guys have. And so that's what she got. Well, I was the 2nd woman assigned to patrol, and I said, okay, I want a gun belt and I want a gun like the guys had. It was simply the way things were. You know, we were new and we were progressing, we were developing as we were going, and that's what it was all about. It was just making changes as were needed, and you learn things as you went. And I think a lot of that has to do with, because we were a new department, we were all really young, and Pierce Brooks was the chief. He would not have tolerated any of his officers being treated badly by any of the other officers. We evolved to work in the street, evolved in our uniforms, and it was not at all to, you know, to make sure we didn't succeed, because when we said, hey, we want this, we got it, you know, and we were successful. So it all worked out.
1225, clear on 3.
The evolution continued. Today, 20% of the force is comprised of women. That's almost twice the national average.
I think Lakewood has a lot of diversity here. There's equal opportunities. You see females in every different role here, whether it's sergeant, command staff, anything like that. You see females that are able to promote just the same as males are.
After the Columbine High School shootings in 1999, Lakewood's school resource officers became an essential part of the staff for middle and high schools.
Official units from 71, several shots fired, Columbine High School, use caution.
SWAT officers responding to the Columbine shooting arrived to find a chaotic scene.
While we were on the perimeter of the high school, there were several windows that were broken. We saw a sign in the window, one bleeding to death, that we later found out was Dave Saunders, the teacher.
The Columbine tragedy led to many changes in handling active shooter situations and much wisdom about the importance of school resource officers.
I tell people it's the busiest job I've ever had as a police officer, but it's the most rewarding.
SROs help schools and students train for lockdowns, lockouts, evacuations, and more. But SROs do much more than help prepare for emergencies.
Did you guys watch the Cubs last night?
They become a part of the school and its community.
When I first became a school resource officer, I said no kid's ever going to want to come talk to me. I'm in uniform, all of these type of things. Now my door won't stop opening. Parents call me and they come talk to me and say, hey, I'm having this problem at home. It's not a school issue. Is there any help that's out there? My biggest asset to being a school resource officer is I love relationship building, and that's relationship building with the staff, the students, and it is extremely rewarding because we do different programs in the schools. By having us in the schools, it shows that it is a safe climate. Kids learn better when they feel safe. I think it's community policing at its best.
The Democratic National Convention produced a new era of collaboration and partnership among metro law enforcement agencies.
The Lakewood Police Department served a very prominent role in the execution and the coordination of the Democratic National Convention. We were assigned to provide inner perimeter security at the Pepsi Center, which was really the central location for all of the DNC events.
The Denver model has been exported to every convention since then, and people are still coming back to Denver or asking for certain retired folks to come out and explain the event. I think it put Denver on the map for the ability to handle such a large-scale event.
Lakewood also has the support of special units such as the K-9 and Animal Control units, code enforcement, and civilian units that include the Communications Center, the Crime Lab, Records, Property Section, and the police support staff. The victim assistance and volunteer programs provide additional support to sworn agents who value and depend on community partnerships for greater reach and connection.
Community to the Lakewood Police Department is extremely important to us because in a sense we are all the community. It's not just the residents that live in Lakewood or the people who work in Lakewood or travel through Lakewood, and not just the police department. It's all parties involved that have a stake in this.
More than 400 men and women contribute to the effectiveness and excellence of the Lakewood Police Department. No large city is without crime, but Lakewood has made great strides in public safety. The Lakewood Police Department is the reason why.
That's one of the most important things about law enforcement is the commitment to service, commitment to community, and commitment to a partnership with their community. And Lakewood embodies that and always has, and we have been on the forefront of that philosophy in law enforcement.
I have always been proud of the fact that I'm associated with Lakewood, simply because we did build a great reputation for this organization, and it endures to this day.
I'm very excited about the future for the City of Lakewood and for the Lakewood Police Department. The citizens of Lakewood are in very good hands. Their police officers are phenomenal. Their leadership is phenomenal. They have the best training, the best equipment, and the best tactics. But more importantly, they have the best character to serve the citizens of our community now and into the future.